A lot of us have been wondering, where is UFO whistleblower David Grusch been? Ever since he testified in July 2023 at a U.S. congressional hearing, revealing to the world that there is a crash retrieval program, that the United States government is in possession of non-human craft and non-human bodies, he has made very limited appearances on different podcasts and, mainstream media outlets. But up until the last 4 months or so, he has been kind of quiet. There was supposedly an op-ed that was supposed to come out for David Grusch, and it has yet to come out. But some news has broke. David Grusch will be speaking at the SALT conference in New York City here in May. Let's dive in and see what this is all about, y'all. If you're new to the channel and you like content like this, please hit that subscribe button. I put out a new video every day, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. I do not miss a day. And please hit that like button, vetters. That really helps out the videos. So thank y'all so much for the support there. And of course, comment down below. What do you think about David Grusch speaking at the SALT conference? Let's go. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is look at what is the SALT conference. It's a conference that was started by Anthony Scaramucci. You might remember him. He was for Donald Trump for 10 days or something. I think it was famously, not even, just like a week. I mean, it was nothing. It could have been a day. He was the White House press, leader or whatever you call it. I can't think of the name of the position right now. I'm blanking. I apologize. But famously, right? But he's also just been an investor in New York City. So he started the SALT conference. And, here it is. Look, SALT, empowering big ideas. So if you go to salt.org, SALT.org, again, I'll put links in the description as always. Go check this out for yourself. Right here, we can see SALT is a global investment platform connecting institutional asset owners with asset managers and technology entrepreneurs. So you may be asking, why is David Grusch speaking at this conference? Honestly, I don't know. That's something we probably have to ask David Grusch. And to confirm, here he is, okay? Dave Grusch, as they have him listed, will be speaking at SALT. So this is the bio that they have for David Grusch, right? Former U.S. intelligence officer. Mr. Grusch spent 14 years in the U.S. intelligence community, both as an Air Force officer and as a civilian, culminating as a senior requirements officer, GS-15, at U.S. Space Command with the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, the NGA. Additionally, Mr. Grusch has served overseas in Afghanistan, Kyrgyzstan, Qatar, and South Korea, and is a highly decorated combat veteran. Mr. Grusch holds a bachelor's degree in physics and a master's degree in intelligence studies. He is currently in graduate school for his master's in public administration. In 2022, Mr. Grusch became the first federal whistleblower in U.S. history to file a complaint with the Intelligence Community Inspector General regarding executive branch concealment of unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAP, crash retrieval programs from Congress, right? Now, again, however you think about it, the term whistleblower, I don't know, right? Is he the first whistleblower? I guess that's just always going to be up for debate now. Again, with my interview with Danny Sheehan, he clearly lays out what the definition of a whistleblower is, and he states that David Grusch is not a whistleblower. And Danny Sheehan is representing Lou Elizondo, right? And he's representing other, what he calls actual whistleblowers, right? Who are not public, but have spoken to Congress, Senate Intel committees, right? Whatever. Behind the scenes, but that they have not publicly come forward because, again, to Danny Sheehan, a whistleblower essentially breaks the law. There is no actual protection for a real whistleblower. That does not exist. You don't go through pre-publication review. You don't talk to somebody and say, what can I say? What can I say? That's not a real whistleblower. You just come out and blow the whistle. That's sort of the point. So maybe, honestly, as I'm saying this out loud, in real time, you're seeing me have this epiphany. Maybe there just needs to be two distinct definitions of whistleblower, right? There's two different kinds. There's sort of a, unofficial whistleblower and official whistleblower. I don't know, maybe different terms to determine, right? But anyway, regardless of that, he is speaking, and the conference is here in May 2024, middle of the month. You can get tickets. They are expensive, in the thousands. And I'm not sure, why he's speaking or what he's going to be speaking about, right? Should be curious. I'm assuming it may be something like the speech that he gave privately back in February or January, I think it was, to a private group in New York City at some billionaire's house, to a group of people, right? And some photos leaked out from that. Maybe his op-ed that he still has not released, which people say is still coming out. Maybe he'll mention some things in this. I don't know. Or just reiterate other things that he's told, right, to a different audience. Maybe the goal is to just get people excited to invest in UAP studies, which, let's be fair, that's a good idea, okay? I mean, you got to go to where the people are, right? And if you can convince people, it's not so much money, but if you can convince people that there's something here to study and to invest money in, I mean, this is a good thing for David Grusch to go speak at this, if you want to look at it that way. And I don't see anything wrong with that, right? Good for Dave Grusch. Good for him going to speak. Again, we do need to convince Wall Street, right, that UAP studies is something to invest in, something we should be doing. Now, the question then becomes, who gets the money and what do they study and what? Okay, but first we got to cross that first line, which is just getting people to understand it is worth something to study. So in a way, I'm actually really glad Dave Grusch is going to speak at the SALT conference, right, to people who manage $100 million or more portfolios, right, into the billions, some of them. So to me, it could be a good thing. Now, this is all private, right? It has nothing to do with public tax dollar investments, at least not that I'm aware of. But other people have spoken at the SALT conference, and I've got a couple clips I'm going to show you here in just a minute about that. Famously, Dr. Gary Nolan and Professor Loeb, Avi Loeb from Harvard, right? Both spoken at the SALT conference. And famously, Gary Nolan said something quite shocking at last year's SALT conference, right before Dave Grusch came out, right? Less than a month. So I'm going to play a couple clips from that and here in just a second. But before we get to that, this is something very interesting. Guess who else is speaking at the SALT conference? General Mark Milley, 20th chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, right? What's interesting about General Mark Milley also speaking at the SALT conference? You may be asking yourself, what's the big deal, Patrick? Who cares? I'm just saying. I got two clips to play for you about Mark Milley. All right, this is the first one. Let's watch this real quick.
Over the Atlantic on the South Carolina coast, that shot hit. The second one over Alaska, on the north coast of Alaska, that one hit. The third one that landed in the Yukon, that one hit. On the fourth one over Lake Huron, first shot missed, second shot hit. The first balloon, the Chinese spy balloon that went down over the Atlantic on the South Carolina coast, that shot hit. The second one over Alaska, on the north coast of Alaska, that one hit. The third one that landed in the Yukon, that one hit. On the fourth one over Lake Huron, first shot missed, second shot hit. The first balloon, the Chinese.
So General Mark Milley was the one that presented some of the spy balloon, reports that happened last year, right? The Chinese spy balloons, right? But also this. Pay attention.
And now to a story News Nation has been following from the very beginning. The nation's highest-ranking Army military officer speaking out about UFOs following Congress's historic hearing. Army General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, is backing the Pentagon's claims that there is no evidence the U.S. has non-human-made vehicles. David Grusch, the UFO whistleblower who gave the News Nation exclusive interview, has claimed that the U.S. has a secret alien retrieval program. And General Milley says Grusch shared what he believes to be true, but says based on briefings with the Pentagon's UAP office, he has not seen any indications of a cover-up program. Joining us now is Ben Hansen. He is the host of UFO Witness on Discovery Plus. Ben, thank you for being here. Let's dive right in. So what do you make of the General's comment?
Well, honestly, Kelly, it's not all that surprising. If you look at the other statements he made, he said there is a lot of unexplained aerial phenomena out there. That's true. He talked about a lot of the reports they're getting that there's some of it that's difficult to explain. So we've heard that from the Pentagon before, but I think a lot of people kind of assume that those who are in the highest levels of leadership would know everything. And I know this sounds really kind of conspiratorial, but I think we would be surprised that a lot of our elected officials in the executive department, legislative, and military probably isolate themselves for plausible deniability. And maybe they're not told on purpose because they're going to be the targets that are going to be called out on the red carpet or subpoenaed in hearings. So in my opinion, it's not surprising.
And you were on News Nation's Banfield on Friday, along with retired Rear Admiral of the U.S. Navy, Tim Gallaudet. Now, he talked about his own UFO experience and getting an email about it that disappeared from his inbox. We have the clip, and then we'll come back for a question.
I received an email from a two-star admiral in charge of the exercise, and he had actually sent it to a number of one- and two-star admirals like me in charge of aircraft carrier strike groups and other support commands. And the title of the email was Urgent Safety of Flight Issue. And in the text, he asked if anybody knew what these objects were. And it was the Go Fast video that was attached. And he said, report to me immediately if you do, because we might have to cancel the exercise because of safety concerns. And of course, once I saw that, I knew immediately what was occurring. This is nothing we could have engineered. And then, interestingly, the next day, that email was wiped from my computer.
Now, I found that fascinating. You weren't able to react. I'd like to get your take, though. What do you make of it?
So the Rear Admiral actually reached out to me after appearing on one of your shows here on News Nation because we were talking about USOs, underwater submerged objects, and we started talking. This is a man with an incredible resume and background, right? So he was not only the chief meteorologist, but also the commander of the Naval Observatory. And here he gets, earlier in his career through the SIPRNet, which is secret intranet of the military. And that message has that video in it that we now know comes from, the Go Fast, I believe it was, video. And it disappears. The next, I think he said day or two, they had a meeting with a lot of these admirals who were on that message list, and none of them talked about it. They were told not to talk about it. So again, more stories of suddenly, kind of a rash, put the information out and then walk it back, and this never happened. So very, very interesting.
Absolutely. We'll stay on it. Ben Hansen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you for watching. Go to News.
So I don't know about y'all, but I find that very effing interesting. I'm trying to curse less, y'all. Right? Let's break down a few things before I show you a couple of clips from the SALT conference. Here is one of them. His email gets wiped. None of the admirals talk about it. This is the Go Fast video. I thought it was just a bird. Right? That's what they say. It's just a bird. It's parallax. Right? It's just the way the drone's flying, Patrick. You're 5 miles out. You can't tell how fast that thing's going. It's just a bird. Okay, then why are you deleting emails from two-star admirals, right, and sending it out to multiple admirals, warning about a training mission, right? that they're seeing these things, more than one. Right? It's like the Tic Tac video or whatever that's spinning, right? The little orb. And people try to debunk that video, right? It's a plane. It's that they forget the context of, oh, there was a whole swarm of them. Right? It's the same thing with this video. I can't tell you how much I've learned doing this show and showing videos that context matters so much. You can't just look at one photo, one video, one piece of thing. You have to consider it all. Tells the full story, right? And I just find that quite fascinating. And I find Mark Milley going to the conference quite fascinating, right, as well, because he is coming out and supporting the Pentagon's stance that he sees no evidence of a cover-up, right? But to be fair to Mark Milley, he does admit that there are, things they can't identify, unidentified anomalous phenomena, right? So it's interesting, right? Now, he's never disparaged Grusch. He said what he believes to be true, right? So in Mark Milley's mind, General Mark Milley's mind, he thinks Grusch isn't lying. He thinks what he's saying is true. But Mark is saying that doesn't mean it's true. It's just he thinks it's true, right? But I find it interesting. They're going to be speaking at the SALT conference, right? I'm not saying they're not going to be speaking together, but they will run into each other. They will see each other. I would love to be a fly on the wall in that green room to see what they're going to be talking about and if there'll be any other conversations. And who knows, maybe this could help move things forward behind the scenes in a small way, right? You plant little seeds along the way. So it's quite interesting that Mark Milley will be there, considering the history. All right, let's get to this clip about Gary Nolan. I've showed this clip before, and I'll be honest, I find it absolutely fascinating what Gary Nolan says here. Let's just play it.
I'm curious, do you believe that extraterrestrial intelligence has visited planet Earth?
I think you can go a step further. It hasn't just visited, it's been here a long time, and it's still here. And it has basically...
What?
People talk about the WOW signal, looking for extraterrestrial intelligence. The WOW signal is that people see it on an almost regular basis. That's the communication that's already here.
And that statement seems so incredible that it's tough to believe, right? Like, people hear that, and maybe a lot of people hear that, and they don't believe it. And so I'm curious, if you had to assign a probability to that statement, that you believe extraterrestrial intelligence has visited this planet, what probability would you assign?
100%. And that's not just my opinion. I mean, look, the National Defense Appropriation Act, passed last year, signed by Biden in December. 30 pages of that is the establishment of an unidentified aerial phenomenon office, the establishment of looking into the harm that's happened to any of a number of the individuals, going back to 1945 and looking at the disinformation and misinformation that has been basically articulated over the decades. 12 U.S. senators have signed on to a document that basically says we want the information. The establishment of an office, ARROW, in the Department of Defense, has 25 people working in it right now. And what's their goal? Collecting the information across all of the U.S. Department of Defense intelligence offices, and collation of that into a uniform format for the very first time, and provision of that then to Congress. The creation of a whistleblowers program specifically that allows people from within, who, I'm going to say this, who've been working on the reverse engineering programs, reverse engineering of objects, so that they can come in and break their oaths, but specifically just to talk to Congress and give that information in classified settings. And that the most recent one that happened was just last weekend, and it created quite a hornet's nest in Washington.
And so let's just create kind of like a logical...
So what, what the F? Let's put in context, like I said earlier, when this was shown, right? When did this happen? When did Gary Nolan say this? Last May, at last year's New York SALT conference, right? What meeting is he talking about in Congress that created quite the hornet's nest the month before? Was this David Grusch? Because the month before would be April. And if you remember, David Grusch retired in April of last year, right? Is this whistleblower protection come in, talk in classified setting? Is this the beginning of Grusch, right? And look, Dr. Gary Nolan is saying 100% probability that extraterrestrial intelligence has not only visited Earth, right, but is still here, presently. Right? Like, here. I remember the first time I heard that, and it was shocking, if I'm being honest. Absolutely shocking. It's still shocking to hear, because Dr. Gary Nolan is usually very particular with his words, right? Especially someone as smart as him, and careful. So he didn't say 99%. He didn't say 80, 75, which would have all been equally exciting answers, right? He said 100%. There's only one way he answers that question like that. Gary Nolan, Dr. Gary Nolan, has seen undisputable proof of non-human intelligence. He has seen it with his own eyes. That's the only way he's saying that. He's not going to go off of even data or other people, or not to make that kind of statement publicly. He has had to have seen with his own eyes, in person, undisputable proof of non-human intelligence for him to say 100%, in my opinion. Because if he's saying 100% just based off stories or things people have told him, or, well, all this data seems to lead to that, you still wouldn't say 100%, in my opinion. But he is saying 100%. So I'm curious what y'all are going to say in the comments. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? What are your thoughts? Why is he saying that? Is the SALT conference something David Grusch should be speaking at? The connection between Mark Milley and the UAP phenomena, and now them both speaking at the SALT conference. Is the SALT conference becoming a good place for UAP discussion? I think so, in the sense that they are open to it. They respectfully talk about it. That's what a lot of people in this community want, just to be taken seriously. Just hear me out before you judge me, right, and laugh at me. Just hear me out. And I understand that. Makes total sense. You want a safe place to, I hate using that word, or that phrase, but, I get it. And they do treat the topic, respectfully. And look, they publish these videos afterwards. So we will have a video of David Grusch speaking at the SALT conference. And I'm very curious what he's going to say. That's going to be very exciting, to be honest with you. And just hearing Dr. Gary Nolan speak, again, I'll put links in the description. Go hear his whole, speech or interview. He goes on to speak about evidence and data, follow the data, not the conclusions. Again, I just don't think he would say 100%. He would have said 99%. Just leaving a little room for error, right? So to me, he has seen undisputable proof. Again, I have no way to prove that. It's just what I think based on that answer. And putting it all in context. That should be the title of this video, right? The context of UFOs. Never forget the context. That's the subtitle unofficially. All right, look, let's look at another clip. All right. Again, the SALT conference does treat this topic respectfully. And here's another example of that. This is Dr. Avi Loeb from Harvard. Is Dr. Loeb? Is it Dr. Loeb? I think so. Right, Galileo Project. I did interview Dr. Avi Loeb basically right around the same time he did this. This is from a year ago, and I interviewed him last year in April, I believe. In fact, he might have been wearing that same suit. You can find the interview on the channel here. Go to the playlist, and you'll see interviews. I'll also put a link down in the description. Let's hear what he has to say. I found this answer quite interesting, right? The question is, do you think we'll have a definitive answer in our lifetime, about aliens? Let's hear what Dr. Avi Loeb has to say.
Do you think that we're going to have an answer to this question within our lifetimes, a definitive answer?
Yeah, that simply depends on us. I call it the ostrich factor. If we don't search, we will not find anything. If you bury your head in the sand, you can argue forever that you have no evidence for what stands in front of you. But if we do invest in the search, I believe that within the coming decade, it will become pretty clear. Now, even if objects like the meteor that I described or Oumuamua were naturally produced, they must represent something that is very different from the solar system. Objects, the rocks, the comets, the asteroids that we had seen before. So we will learn something new no matter what. I'm 100% confident of that. But my suspicion is, that we are not the smartest kid on the block. And let's just figure it out by looking at the sky.
I completely agree. And I think when we think about the future and we think about the progress of technology, we think about how the geopolitical landscape will progress over time. Something like discovering verifiable proof of intelligent life outside of Earth is a black swan event. It will change the landscape for everything. It could potentially unify humanity in a way. There is finally maybe an other. There is someone else to unify against. Is that how you feel?
Well, in fact, if you look at human history, what you find very often is a group of people trying to feel superior relative to other people, and that brings all the problems. If we realize there is someone far smarter than all of us, then the differences between humans will become meaningless. And perhaps we will start treating each other as equal members of the human species. I see that also in terms of giving us a sense of purpose. We will strive to be better classmates in this class of intelligences that within the Milky Way galaxy, because right now we are not behaving very intelligently. One reason I seek intelligence in space is because I don't find it very often here on Earth.
I love that.
Look, I'll put links in the description. Again, go check out everything here. Again, they do treat the topic seriously. So David Grusch speaking there, this should be quite interesting. Now, will David Grusch be interviewed like this? Will he be giving a speech? My guess is it'll be an interview just like this. Probably with this guy, Alex. What's his name? I'm not sure. Alex Klokus. I'm not sure if that's how you say it. Anyway, leave your comments down below. Curious to hear what everyone's going to say about this, to be honest with you. So, look, if you've watched this far, don't forget today. Well, don't forget, I haven't said it yet. Today, I am going to be in the Discord after party. Okay, that's what we're calling it. So head over to our Discord channel. Link is in the description. All you got to do is, if you're not already signed up, sign up and go into where the main channels are, and there's something called Vetted After Party. Just click on that, and you'll see it. Jump in. I'm going to be chatting right after the premiere of this video only for 15 to 30 minutes. And you can ask me more questions about this video one-on-one with me. So we'll see you in Discord. Again, link in the description. Go check it out. Go sign up. Really easy to use. I'll be there 15 to 30 minutes. I'm going to do that after every video. All right? So that I can. I'll be, about 95% of them. If you see me in the live chat premiere, that means I'm going to Discord. If I'm not in the live chat premiere, I'm not going to Discord. But I will always announce it just like this. So if you want to talk a little bit more with me personally, head over to the Discord, and I will be there to chat more in person about this. All right? Okay, guys. We'll see you guys on tomorrow's video. Remember, every day's a gift. Peace.